Welcome. By the end of this video, you will have a different sense of clarity, more level-headed knowledge when it comes to e-commerce or dropshipping as a whole. Okay, I've made over 7 figures, done billions of views, got millions of followers across social media. So today I'm going to be distilling everything on this here whiteboard for you guys today for free, okay? I'm gonna be saving you guys years of time wasted. I'm gonna be saving you guys thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, okay? So you don't have to go through all the bullshit. I'm basically gonna be telling you guys how to avoid every retard mistake that I've made along the last 3.5 years or so of being in the space, okay? So lesson number 1, and it's not gonna be what you wanna hear, but it's gonna be the most important. A lot of you guys need to hear this, okay? Lesson number 1 is the game is the game. That is just the name of the game, okay? So what do I mean by that? E-com is not easy. It's been around for over 20, 30 years. First sale online was in 1994, and now we have platforms like Amazon, okay? The game is the game. You are going to face so many problems. I started when I was 15. So I've really attributed a lot of my success to being so not only stress tolerant, but problem prone. Okay? The thing is that you're going to have problems pop up. And that is just the name of the game. You're gonna make $7,000 and your payouts are gonna be paused. That happened to me. When I was first making money, I had $6,500, which for any 16-year-old was a lot of fucking money at the time. My payouts got paused. And I sat there and I thought, we all know Shopify support sucks. I sat there, I was like, all right, fuck, what can I do? I can't do anything. So I sat there, I completely forgot about that money. I focused on making more money. Now, luckily, my payouts were unpaused. I was able to get that money and I was able to fulfill. But that's not the problem. The problem is that everyone gets lost in the problems. Everyone gets lost in something happens. Maybe your ad account gets banned. Maybe your TikTok or Instagram account gets banned, or you get shadow banned, or maybe your product dies. Especially, the worst feeling is when your first winner dies. You think that you finally made it, and then it dies and you're like, holy fuck, it's over. And then you test another product and it's, oh, we're so back. And then it's, holy fuck, we're so over. That's how it goes. And I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but the thing is, the game is the game. So essentially what I mean by the game is the game is that you're going to have problems pop up. Shit is going to happen. Refunds are gonna happen. Payouts are gonna be paused. That just happens. With any industry, there's going to be problems. Now, I understand how stressful it is, especially when you are starting out, but the biggest lesson that I've learned is whatever problem that's happening today will be solved and will not be a big deal. You won't even think about it in a month from now. And I've really kind of been through enough major business problems with loopholes in payouts or payment processors or refunds, whatever it may be. I feel like you have to go through that to understand that it's really not that big of a deal. So the big thing is, let me erase the whiteboard to kind of show you guys what I mean by this, right? So what I mean is, essentially, let's say this is your life, this is your dropshipping journey, and every single pain point happens right here. So each of these lines is kind of like a problem that pops up. You are going to have to go through these seasons to understand that that is just the name of the fucking game, man. So let's say you make a little 10 bands here, a little 10K month, congratulations. Then boom, let's just say paused payouts, okay? Paused payouts. That's a problem. It's a big problem, right? But at the end of the day, 4 months go by, it's gonna be solved, okay? Then another problem comes up, and time moves on. Time is the greatest healer when it comes to absolutely anything. Time is the best problem solver. So you gotta understand that you're gonna have to go through a lot of problems. You're gonna be fucking stressed. You're gonna think that it's completely over and you're completely cooked. But the thing is that it's gonna be fine in 6 months. It's gonna be fine in a year from now. Please understand that, because I remember when I was going through those little tweaks, those little problems, the things that make you not be able to sleep at night, especially when you're broke and you're seeing your first sliver of money. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've been through that a million times, but that's why I understand when those things pop up, it's okay, and you say, fuck it, we ball, we keep going. I had a video I worked on for 2 months, and it got taken down last night. It was a 7.5-hour video for YouTube on this exact channel, and it got taken down last night from YouTube. 2 months of work, poof. But that's okay. And you can see that I'm not in a bad mood because of it, okay? Because that is the name of the game. And the only way you're going to get more comfortable with problems and more confident in problem solving is by having problems come up, solving said problems, and doing it over and over and over, okay? It's kind of just like learning through experience and repetition. You're gonna have problems come up, and the thing is that you're gonna have to go through a lot of problems to be more comfortable with them. Lesson number 2 is saturation is gay. Saturation is gay, okay? If I hear one more dude that hasn't even made 20 grand from ecom use the term saturation, I will personally take my thumb and my index finger, put it to his throat, touch his Adam's apple, and squeeze it till it pops, and I'll watch him fall to the floor in front of me. Saturation is gay, okay? The entire idea of saturation is so skewed because oftentimes, especially when you're a beginner, you're going to be using what I like to call there's coping mechanisms, right? So accountability is the most important thing. Now, what I've realized, especially recently, is you can be so accountable, but you have to, like, there's a certain threshold that you reach, which most of you guys won't reach. But I've had like some problems pop up, and the thing is like, you have to realize you have to be accountable until it's just a market issue. So what do I mean by that is essentially, I've been like, you can try, but if the market is not there and it's not moving with your speed and your action and what you're doing and your outputs, then it's just not there. And that's the name of the game sometimes. Like I talked about in lesson 1, that is the name of the game. So you can't be overly accountable to where if something is out of your reach, like Marcus Aurelius said, if you're stressing about a problem and you can solve it, then fix it. If you can't solve it, then don't worry about it. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, sometimes you have to dumb it down to a market problem, but that's very, very rare. And I've been so self-accountable that when I had to dumb stuff down to a market problem, I just simply couldn't. And then I lowered my self-worth and I beat myself up over it. But saturation is gay. A lot of you guys use saturation as a coping mechanism. A lot of you guys use the term saturation as like, you will do fucking anything but be accountable with yourself and say, my fucking creatives are shit. My lander sucks. My philosophy behind ecom sucks. And the reason it didn't work is not because it was saturated, but because I'm a fucking beginner and I don't know what I'm talking about. If you were capable of making 10 grand a month with ecom, you would make 10 grand a month with ecom. So you have to be super self-accountable with yourself and say, the reason I'm not making 10K a month is because I can't make 10K a month. Does that mean you're never going to be able to? Of course not. But that does mean that you can't do it now, because if you could, then you would. Do you see what I'm saying? Saturation is the biggest cop-out term. What I like to view saturation as, overall, okay, is, let me erase the whiteboard. Imagine you have 2 pools or 2 ponds, okay? Now this pond has 100 fishers in it, and this pond has 0, okay? Realistically, everyone's gonna look at this pond with 100 people that are fishing in this specific pond, because there's a lot of fish in this pond, right? If 100 people are there, there's clearly some fish to be caught. But if there's 0 people in this pond, the biggest mistake that I see is people will go and look at this pond with 0 fish and say, oh, blue ocean. Oh, evergreen. Ooh. I hate the term blue ocean, evergreen. If you ever use that, I'll smack you in person. Don't ever say blue ocean or evergreen or saturated around me. I'll smack you, okay? People will look at this pond with 0 people in it, and they'll be like, oh, dude, I gotta go there, dude. Dude, this pond is not impossible to find. You think you know how many people are dropshipping? You think somebody else hasn't came across this pond and tried to fish in it, and then it hasn't worked for them? That's why there's 0 fucking people fishing in this pond. There's 100 dudes fishing in this pond because there's clearly fish to be caught in that pond. There's clearly fish in this pond. Now, it's not necessarily saturation, it's more so market share. You cannot look at it as, this is saturated, no. Can I actually get a share of the market? So if there's 100 people fishing in here, but there's hypothetically, let's say 50 million buyers in this consumer pool, you can go and get market share. 100 people ratioed into 50 million is not that much. Does that make sense? But the thing is people will look at the 100 people and they won't actually sit there. Use first principles. First principles, if you don't know what it is, I talk about it a lot on this channel. It's essentially just taking a problem, breaking it down to its core fundamentals and its core truths, and then coming to innovative and creative solutions. So essentially, you're gonna look at this 100 people and you're be like, oh, it's saturated, everyone's doing this. Well, bro, if there's 300 million people in this market and 100 people are doing it, you can fucking make 100 grand a month. Do you see what? It's not that hard. Because the thing is, and this is the next step I wanted to talk about, the next little note that I wanted to touch on is saturation is not real. Saturation is simply just a higher barrier to entry to make money. Does that make sense? Most people will look at saturation. You just have to be better. That's it. That's all it is. Everyone is selling everything to everybody. That's the big thing. Everybody is selling everything to everybody. But the biggest fucking problem is that people don't understand that if you are just better, you will get more market share. I'm in contacts with a friend of mine who's running a really large nicotine pouch brand. And he's been traveling the world, meeting with all the biggest pouch companies, He's getting manufacturing, blah, blah, blah. And we were on the phone yesterday for about an hour and a half. And he was talking to me about, I went here. I went to Germany for this convention, which was a nicotine convention. All the biggest brands were there. Zyn was there, Pablo, like everyone. Velo, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the nicotine pouch brands, but like everybody was there. And he was talking to me about it, and we were just simply dumbing it down to product quality. We were simply dumbing, because saturation, everybody in Europe does nicotine pouches, but the barrier to entry to make money is just by being fucking better. That's all it is. So if you're gonna look at 100 people, if you're gonna sell nicotine pouches for grandmas, what grandma's gonna do a nicotine pouch? No shit, there's nobody in there in that market because it doesn't fucking work. There's no fish to be caught. But if 100 people are in this pool and there's ample market share, then you can go in there and make some money. So I digress. We were talking about, okay, everyone in the US does Zyns because they're just actively known. It was the only option. So Zyn was the only option to get nicotine pouches in the US. Now, everyone is working on bringing these European brands over to the US. You have Velo coming over. You have some other American brands like Sesh, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the nicotine industry, but I'm not going to get into that. I just want to give you guys some advice. So we were talking about that and say, we are making our brand to where if they're coming to the US, when I pull out a pack of Swedish snus, really good, high quality nicotine ones, my friends are going to ask for it. And they're going to say, bro, where do you get those? You can have as much of the market share as you want, but the barrier to it's just a higher barrier to entry, and the way you cross that is just by being fucking better. That's the name of the game. I guarantee you because we were talking about this yesterday, the nicotine pouch industry is kind of where energy drinks were, like in 2010. So in 2-3 years, Zyn, unless they up their fucking game, because Zyns are produced in Pakistan, if you guys didn't know, but they are done. We have the best distribution facilities, we have everything. Now, the thing is the problem is that no one in America has an actual good product. So if you come in here and you insert an actual amazing product, it doesn't matter because it's going to spread by word of mouth. And that's the name of the game, okay? So basically, to sum up this lesson and what I was talking about was basically saturation just does not exist. Saturation is a coping mechanism for beginners, because if you're a beginner, you don't really know what's saturated and what's not. You can't look at it as saturation, you have to look at it as simply market share. And then number 2, saturation just means there's a higher barrier to entry to break into that market. You can be in the most saturated industry of all time, but you just need to have a better product. You just need to do it better. Better creatives, better ads, better product, better offer. If you just do everything better, who gives a fuck about saturation? See, there's a reason why America is not allowing Chinese EV companies to sell their cars in the US, because they simply have a better product. See, America has a monopoly on the automobile industry. You always see Chevys and Fords and etc. All these American produced brands. And you even see them in Europe, like London and France. You'll see a lot of Fords, right? So the thing is that the problem is that the reason why, this is a perfect example, the reason why America will not let these Chinese EV companies sell their cars in the United States is because they will simply be better and outwork Tesla, Lucid, whatever it may be, out of the market. Because they can undercut costs, aka better offer. They have a better product, and it's just overall the higher barrier to entry, but they fucking can do it because they are simply better. That's why America will not allow China, and that's why America puts out these propaganda videos of like these Chinese cars exploding. Guys, go to China. These cars are not exploding every other day. They are great cars. They can undercut prices and they're overall better. A Chinese EV car is 20 grand. That's a used Tesla. That is going to be better, brand new. Do you see what I'm saying? That is the perfect example. Lesson number 3, okay? Become a data-based YN, okay? You need to be a data-based YN. I'm a data-based YN. All my friends in e-com that do $1 million a month are data-based YNs. The truth about making a decision, because business is simply just decision making, in order to make a decision, it's not gonna take time. It's gonna take information, which obviously does come with time. But if you have the information to make a decision, then you need to make it. And how do you get the information? You analyze and track data. Most of you guys, even with the organic guys, now there's a lot of organic guys watching my channel, but organic or paid, doesn't matter. If you're not tracking enough data, like, let me put this into perspective because a lot of you guys don't necessarily understand this, and this is a big problem I see with people that are trying to do paid ads, and no one even talks about this, okay? So let me put this into perspective here. The biggest problem is, hypothetically, the more, let's say, okay, you're selling X and you're selling X. 2 products are the exact same product, okay? Let's say you have a pool of 100 people and this guy has a pool of 1,000 people. This guy, okay, this X guy on the right, or maybe on the left for wherever you're watching, but this guy right here, he is going to get 10x more accurate data than the guy who's selling to 100. You cannot let's say you're doing ads, you're spending $20 a day. You're gonna get $20 worth of data. Facebook is a learning platform. You need to spend more, even with Instagram and TikTok for the organic guys. You can't analyze data if you don't have the outputs to do so. You need to output enough to where you can actually track the data that comes back. Okay? So if you're selling, let's say you do 100 people, maybe you spend $100. This guy spends $100 a day, this guy spends $1,000 a day. This guy's gonna get 10 times better the data because he's a bigger pool. If you sell, it's like flipping a coin, okay? Now, there's something in statistics which I've used in e-com, it's called regression to the mean. So effectively what regression to the mean means is if you flip a coin once, there's a 50-50 chance it can land on heads or tails, right? Roughly 50-50. If you flip a coin 3 times in a row, and it lands on heads every single time, which is lucky, but it's very feasible to happen, would it be logical to sit there and say, every time I flip this coin, it will land on heads? Fuck no, because you've only flipped it 3 times. The more outputs and the more action you do, the more data you're gonna get back, AKA the better decisions you can make, more informed decisions you can make. The guy with the more data, the guy who has access to the most data is going to make the best decision, because it takes data and information to make decisions, not time, okay? You need to simply make data-based decisions, become a data-based YN, like I said. So effectively, if you flip that coin that I was talking about, flip that coin 1,000 times, it's gonna be a little bit closer to 50-50. Do you see what I'm saying? So whether that be ads, if you're testing, let's say a pool of 100 people, and let's say your conversion rate is 10, you got 10 people to buy it. It doesn't matter, because there's a difference between, most people are going to attribute the data that they have to, here's the reality of it. No, a lot of the times you have a skewed vision on reality or what your offer or product actually is because you don't have enough data, bro. So if you were to do, like, let's say the same guys, let's say hypothetically, switch this over, these guys are the same people, okay? Mr. 100 over here, his conversion rate is like 10%. Okay, cool, but if this guy's, this guy sold 10, this conversion rate would be like 1. Do you see what I'm saying? So essentially, what I'm trying to say is a lot of people will look at skewed data because they don't have enough output to get accurate data. They will come to the conclusion that that is their reality. But actually, you're going to get a more realistic view on reality if you have more data. Does that make sense? So it's like most people will look at do 100 and be like, oh, my conversion rate is 10%. This guy's gonna have a more accurate conversion rate. It could be less. It could be 8%, 7%, but it's gonna be more accurate. Of course, right? If you're scaling, maybe your conversion rate drops a little bit. That's just more accurate because you've scaled more. Do you see what I'm saying? Lesson number 4, okay? Lesson number 4 is everything matters. Everything matters, okay? What do I mean by that? Everything matters, okay? From the millisecond of each pixel and each frame on your ad creatives and your organic creatives even, to your skill sets. The goal of ecom is to have 9s across the board. Everything matters. The biggest problem that I see with beginners or anybody in the ecom space is that they're not critical enough of themselves and the outputs that they're doing. You have to be so unbelievably accountable and critical with yourself. Hey, this creative just sucked. This just wasn't good. The truth is, guys, the reason you're not making money is because you're not good. If you were good, you'd make money. That's the truth, man. So everything matters, okay? You have to be so critical of everything. Let's say you're creative. Let's say you're selling a product, right? Let's say your creative is just like, even for organic guys, right? The millisecond of when the frame, let's say you're putting the product into frame, and let's say this little 3-second clip of your creative, everything on the creative matters. This millisecond, this can be so weird, but like, let me put this into perspective. This marker on the screen, right? Creative starts 3, 2, 1, go. Versus 3, 2, 1, go. Do you see how there's like a little bit of frame versus the second? This is so autistic. Do you see how like it's just quicker? Opposed to like having it a little bit in the frame. That's how autistic you need to look at everything. If you understood what I just said there, then you're definitely gonna make a lot of money, but like it's super weird. Maybe you guys understand it, so I'm gonna try and elaborate a little bit more. But every millisecond counts. Every single pinpoint from the periods and the exclamation marks and the letters and the offer you use on your copy, everything matters. You need to have 9s across the board, okay? This is your ecom skills. Ecom skills, okay? You can't have your creatives be a 4. You can't have your offer be a 6, your website be a 2, and then, other metrics be like a 5, okay? That's the truth. You need to be the motherfucker with 9s across the entire board, okay? And that's the goal. Literally, if you break ecom down to like first principles, it is simply just learning skills. You need to have 9s across the board. That's all it is. All ecom is, guys, is just learning the skills. And it's gonna take time. A lot of you guys don't give it enough time. Ecom as an industry has changed so much. When I started, it took me 4 months to hit 10K a month. Is that realistic nowadays? No. No, it is not, okay? So everything matters. Like we talked about, you need to become a data-based YN. But the biggest problem is people undercut or do a little bit shortcutty stuff when it comes to little things when it comes to ecom. So it's like, you need to analyze and be so fucking critical of everything that you're doing from the, like I talked about, the milliseconds of framing on your creatives to your offer. I had a guy in my community program. Sorry, I'm gonna CTA here. Sorry, I'm gonna pitch. I'm just gonna give you guys an example. But I had a guy in my program. They have like 30K on their organic accounts. And I basically, from the UK, and I hopped on a call with them and I told them, do this, XYZ, 1, 2, 3, 4, what's your COGS, do this. And all they did was change the offer a little bit. And it doubled their they actually like tripled their conversion rate over 24 hours. In 24 hours, I tripled their conversion rate by just making a simple offer change, okay? So that is a great example of you're not making more money because you're just not better, and it's learning skills. If you had the knowledge that I had, that's why I was able to tell them to do XYZ and it tripled their conversion rate. Do you see what I'm saying? It's simply because you are not good enough, and everything matters, okay? From your tweaks in your offer to your creatives and your framing and your lighting and your lander and everything. Everything fucking matters. And those UK guys went on to do $1,000 in a day, and they're making a lot of money, okay? So really quick, if you want to work one-on-one with me, there's going to be first link in the description, 1K a day or you don't pay. 2 weekly live coaching calls a week with me personally, 24/7 DM access to me, over 300 hours of course material. I could go on and on. Just click the first link in the description if that even sounds 1% interesting to you, and you can apply for completely free. Lesson number 5, okay? Ecom, it's kind of just like positioning. It really comes down to positioning. So like, for example, this is Mr. Fisherman here. Let's just do this because he's Asian. Oh, that's crazy. Why did I say that, dude? Yo, Future Smith editing this video. You have to cut that out. Nope, I'm leaving it in. So let's say you have this guy here and he's fishing in a pond versus Mr. Guy here, who's like, let's say he's an old man, and this is what an old man looks like to me, okay? Wrinkly face, whatever. Now, the old man is going to set up a net. He's gonna set up a net around the river, okay? This guy here, he's gonna focus on fishing one at a time, and he's gonna try and catch all these fish, okay? Who do you think is gonna make more fish for the less amount of work? Probably the old guy, because he's too little, like he's setting up, he's positioning himself. And this is what you need to do for Q4. You don't have to do a crazy amount of setup for Q4. You just have to be conscious about it, do what you need to do. It's the little small tweaks. It's the small shit, everything matters. A lot of you guys are like 2 or 3 small tweaks away from 10K a month. And I'm not even kidding you. You guys are probably doing everything right. You're missing the beep, beep, beep. You see what I'm saying? So effectively, e-commerce positioning. So this guy's gonna make more money because it's leverage. That's what leverage is. Leverage is positioning. And leverage is when you get more out of what you put in. So that's why ads are great because, you know, let's say you're putting in $100 and you make back 200, that's leverage. You're putting in 100, that you're printing money out of thin air effectively. That's why organic is great because you're spending $0 on ads, you're getting triple the margins, and you can make $1K a day pretty easily, right? So this guy is most of you guys, and you're not positioned accordingly to where you're just gonna keep going. Fish in, cast in, cast in, cast in, cast in. This guy just sets up the net for once, and then he's chilling. So it's all positioning and it's all leverage. My camera is about to die. I wish I could go more in depth, but this video has already been fairly long. Like I said, if you wanna work one-on-one with me, there's gonna be the first link in the description. You get 2 weekly 90-minute live coaching calls with me, 300 hours of course material, 24/7 DM access to me. Big thing with us as well as our community, we have like culture. So we do client trips as well. Did one in LA, Croatia, London, etc. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you found it valuable, and take care, stay blessed.